Welcome to a new episode of Manage to Retain, where I talk about issues around business for employees, your customers, recruiting, retention, productivity, and profitability. And I do it with my friends, Sherri and Lou. Listen in, you might get a few tips here on how to do leadership better in your business.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Manage to Retain. You know, this whole idea of leadership and managing, retaining, keeping your people engaged seems like it's all throughout the news, people leaving, layoffs. It's a challenge to do this. Or is it? Is kind of the point of this episode. Is there a way we can cut through separate the wheat from the chaff and find out what do we really need to do to help our people stay and keep them engaged? My name is Vinay Raman. I am the CEO of Karma. We're a data and analytics company, but we help companies use their data and analytics to see the emotion behind their employees. We show visuals that we call empathy graphs. But being data and analytics folks, we like the human side of it as well, the human being part of it. And that's why I bring along my friends, Sherri and Lou. Sherri and Lou, how are you all doing today?
Doing great, Vinay. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. Do you all mind sharing with people what you all do? Because I do the data and analytics side, but you all do the leadership side. Talk to me, or tell people what that means.
No, I like that when you talked about what you do with the data and the analytics piece of it is that you take the graphs and you put a story to it, right? You put feeling to it. And here's something that we do. We take that just like a heart monitor would monitor heart. We can't really feel our heart. We can feel our heartbeat, but we can't see it externally unless we use these external tools to be able to see the graphs as to how it moves. And then we know that it has feeling. Well, that's what we do. We take that data and we say, okay, what is the true story behind this? And now that we can look at the details of that story, what now can we do to target the solution without having to just take a wild guess? And realistically, it's a simple process. It's just a matter of, as leaders, being open and aware to what it is that we have to do to make adjustments to make that happen. So what we do is we help you to see that in a little bit more clarity, and we provide you the solution strategically to implement to make sure that those things are sustainable and long-term.
So here's where I'd like to start today. And it's just this idea that I call them readings sometimes, kind of like you have readings of a poem or reading of the tea leaves. You can take a look at these visualizations and these graphs that come from real data. We're not making this stuff up. This is actually real. Mm-hmm. And you can start to see the context or the situation that an individual is in. And I want to share a graph with you here in a little bit. I'm going to take a couple of moments to introduce you to the graph if you've never seen it before. But before I do that, the most important thing to me in this conversation is, what are other people seeing? And the question I'd like to ask of anybody who's listening in on from the audience or from LinkedIn or Facebook, wherever else you're connecting in from, is, do you see leading people is really difficult? And give me a score on a scale of 1 to 10, because I'm a data guy. 10 is it's easy peasy for me, or 1 is it's super difficult for me to do. 1, it's really difficult to manage people and lead people. 10, it's easy. I can do it in my sleep. I'd love to hear what your number is and how difficult you think that is. So let me share my screen. Let's take a look at somebody. We've changed some of the names, but this is actually based on real data. Let me introduce you to Darnell. Darnell A is his name. He is in a particular branch, and the average person performing in this role has got a 52 out of 100. So right somewhere in the middle is the average person. Darnell's got a 58. And if you look at these are all the different dimensions that we're measuring for Darnell, as in there's software already within the company that we're pulling all this data together, like driver behavior. It's got 10 different KPIs and metrics, pieces of data that come in to create that driver behavior score. Efficiency is 4, employee experience is 10, so on and so forth. And if you look at this, you can start to see that tech referring here is a 95, high performer, right? He's got a 95 out of 100, as opposed to some of these other areas where 42, 49, 40 out of 100. And we've also demonstrated that visually or graphically here, where you can see this tech referring, his ability to bring in outside sales is really good. He's an outlier. He's doing much better than the average that is right here in the gray. So tech referral is doing really well. Efficiency as a technician is really good. His net promoter score or customer service score, much better than average. I want to stop for a second there and ask the audience who's listening in, do you have a felt sense of how good an employee Darnell is just by looking at this? I'd love to hear what you think. Yes or no? Sherri and Lou, what about you? What comes to mind as you see this? Do you have a felt sense of who Darnell is?
Yeah, well, this tells a really good story. I mean, right away, first of all, just identify the fact that the company roll score, the overall score company-wide is a 52. All right, so now we're working with a low number as it is. Okay, so let's look at it that way. And so if we take and compare Darnell to that, he's a rock star in comparison, right? He's a 58. He's well above the average. But where is he well above? Well, he's well above in efficiency. He's well above in tech referring, and he's pretty well above in the NPS score, which means that we most likely are utilizing him inefficiently, where we're not utilizing him, I believe, in the right role. Because he could be utilized in a different way. We're not necessarily harnessing his ability, his skills well enough at this point. So eventually he's going to get bored. He's going to get bored. If he's really good at tech referring, which is mainly sales in this case, if I'm looking at this correctly, then most likely he's going to get kind of bored with what he's doing. I mean, his driver behavior is already affecting that piece of it. So plus he's also probably selling a lot more than the average. So he's driving a little faster to get to them to make it happen. But that's what I'm seeing here in this story, and I'd love to sit down with him and kind of find out a little bit more what he's thinking.
Yeah, so I think you made a good point here, right? Just consider that we want this to be completely blue. That is a really, really happy and satiated employee who's doing really, really well. And we can start to see some areas, again, where he is doing well. But let me add a little more dimensionality to what I believe is happening in this story. And that is, I know for myself, I tend to be good at the stuff that I like. So he's quite good at tech referring. He's quite good at efficiency. He's quite good at his customer service. So I think he likes people. Mm-hmm. I think he likes interacting with people. And I think he thinks he's pretty good at what he does because his efficiency is pretty good. So technically, I believe Darnell feels he's pretty good. So that's the good part of the story. Let's dig in a little deeper here. Skills assessment. He's a little bit below average. Let's kind of layer that in. He's doing really well as a technician with his efficiency, but his skill is a little bit below everyone else. So he's actually pretty smart at his job is what I'm kind of already seeing here. His alignment with his management is right on par. So he kind of gets it. His employee experience, little less than average. So it's okay. He's okay with where he is. But the only thing that really is suffering here is his driver behavior. And that kind of makes me causes me to pause a little bit. That just kind of doesn't seem to fit, right? Do you all, I mean, I'm curious in the audience, if you all see it the same way, that driver behavior just seems like a little bit of an anomaly, kind of like a red herring almost. Lou, Sherri, do you guys see the same thing, or does that same sort of thing come up for you?
Yeah, it certainly stands out, right? As different. And why is it different is really the question. Is why is it that this score is as low as it is? And realistically, in order for him to be as successful as he is in tech referring, most likely he's got to get to the customers a lot quicker. So perhaps that's it.
So here's the story that I'm going to suggest might be playing out here. I'm kind of curious if you all see the same thing. I think at some point in time, they saw that not only is he a happy guy in the office, he is happy on his customers. That's why he gets good net promoter scores and gets lots of referrals. Management saw this and they said, we need to, this guy is really productive for us. We need to, get him to go to the next level.
That's right.
And they started giving him more work.
Yeah.
And what happens when I'm start to get late? All of a sudden, I start to cut my conversation short. Instead of saying, "Hey, Ms. Jones, it was great to see you again. Hey, last time I was here, I saw your son practicing football outside. He's playing on the football team? Really? That's great. I mean, he's trying out. I'm really happy to hear that. Well, hey, I just want to let you know, I just did the work for you. Everything looks great. I cleaned out all that stuff we had last time. Looks like everything's working. Hey, we'll see you in 90 days. That conversation doesn't occur anymore. because he's got to rush on to the next appointment because he's got 2 more appointments that day. And that rushing causes him to speed, causes him to accelerate faster, causes him to brake harder.
Mm-hmm.
And his employee experience has dropped as a result of it. And his alignment with his boss has started to drop too, because he's starting to feel the stress of this job.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you that net promoter score may have been higher in the past. Does that seem like a feasible story to you?
100%. And efficiency is going to be next.
Yeah.
That's just the next thing that's going to go.
So do you think Darnell might leave?
He has potential if we don't catch it soon enough. This is the time for us to talk to him and identify what it is that's going to make this more balanced. If we can't create a more balanced experience for him, then he's going to leave. And matter of fact, the other company is going to benefit from a great employee.
Yeah, I think this.
Checking out.
Mm-hmm.
I was just say they're going to start checking out and only do the minimum.
Yeah, I mean, if this was an employee who had been with you for a year, 2 years, maybe this is okay status-wise, right? But if they'd been here for 8 years and this is the way they're feeling, they're waiting for that next job offer to come across in their email that says, hey, we're looking for people and we're paying them, we pay them, we spent a lot of time training you. I think Darnell, or they're looking for a senior role and he's a mid-level role. I think he's out the door, right? I mean, we talked about reading the tea leaves here. I'm curious for those listening in. Do you see how this story might be playing out and how you may have a Darnell within your company already and you're just not seeing this? Even though sales are going well, net promoter score seems to be well, efficiency seems to be good, but they might be on the lookout for something else.
Their experience is dropping, so the customer experience, the employee experience is dropping. So it certainly is something to really keep an eye on.
And
So here's a
brings up. I just want to add something. Is that this is why it's so important to actually have conversations with your employees on a regular basis. Don't make it to be the 1 year review. Don't make it even a quarterly review. Those, yes, they need to happen. But if you're not checking in with your employees on a weekly basis or biweekly basis, then you'll never know. And then there's the disconnect and then things will erode from there. We see it all the time. And the ones that actually are more connected are the ones that actually have these conversations before it goes down the downside.
And imagine if you had a tool like this right in front of you that kind of tells you what's happening, right? Sherri and Lou, I mean, I know there's 3 states for human beings, right? There's the past, there's the future, and there's the present. And there's only one of them that you can control. Right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right.
If you had this information as leadership coaches, if you were Darnell's leader here, Darnell's a direct report to you, how would you shift that conversation? What would you do differently starting to see this?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would do right away is I would look at what I'm doing, like Sherri had said, and say, identify what is my relationship with Darnell. That's the first thing I have to address is my relationship with Darnell. We got to identify that. Right. Okay. Is our relationship super good where I've already built that relationship, or do I have to begin building a better relationship? Once we begin building that better relationship, that's really where it begins. Now we have a trust relationship. When the trust relationship is there, Darnell's going to open up. So that's number one. Look at that relationship. Number 2, the next thing I would do is to sit Darnell down and just have him tell me, hey, listen, check these out. First I want to do is talk to you a little bit about our priority alignment. I want to know what's up. Tell me what's on your mind. I want to hear it. I really want to hear this. I want to help repair this relationship. Tell me more what's going on. And then most likely he's going to say, well, you said, Vinay, well, I've been getting all this extra work. I know I'm really good at this. He goes, but now I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. Then the story begins to unfold. But without the relationship, the story doesn't unfold. So number 1, as a leader, I would look right into the relationship because it's not about me. It's about them, and identify what that looks like and then begin from there.
So for the audience, I'd be kind of curious. Do you agree with this story that we said here? Do you see that is how that story might be plausible? It might be a little different. I'd love to hear if you see something different. And what Lou laid out, number 1, build that level of trust and connection first. And number 2, kind of put this in front of Darnell and say, what's going on here? How can I help? as your coach, as your potential mentor, as a facilitator for you to be successful. Because, Sherri and Lou, I think there's a diamond in the rough sitting here. We just need to be able to support them the way they need it, as opposed to sending everybody to more driver behavior training. It's not just about the driver behavior.
Right.
There's a bunch of other stuff. There's an emotional logjam that is starting to build up here.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And if I was to receive Darnell's resume and then know this from his previous job, I'd hire him.
Yeah.
Because I can develop him. I can change that.
Yeah.
Let's do it now.
You got a good person that's moldable.
Right.
Look, this company already has them on board. There's just an opportunity. Whether you want to take it or not is up to you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I, again, love to hear from the audience. If you saw a different story, if you liked what Lou was saying, those first 2 points, building that level of trust and connection. And number 2, asking Darnell, just sliding this piece of paper across or sliding turning a monitor around, say, Darnell, how do I help? All right, I want to support you. Sherri and Lou, you've got 10 principles that a leader needs to be able to lead with influence.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about that, and what are the 1 or 2 principles that you think apply here?
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Vinay. So the 10 principles Sherri and I developed over our company, over the last 5 decades or so of combined experience. We've put together the 10 principles that we believe that every leader must follow to lead with influence. Us and our company, those that are part of the Lou Everett Group, follow these principles in what they do in their business and how they work with our clients. So for this particular story, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but the nurture principle is certainly the number 1 piece here. The nurture principle. We say what the nurture principle is it defines it as how we feed and we water the plants being our employees, that being our team, how we feed them, how we water them. And I use this analogy of plants, right? We have in our home, we have this money tree. I don't know if you have a money tree. Anyone knows what a money tree is? I don't really know the technical term for this money tree, but it's called a money tree. And this money tree, it doesn't take a lot really to grow. It just takes the right amount of sun and to be watered once a week and to be turned every day. That's all it needs to be. That's it. That's all it needs. And then as it grows, it needs to be transplanted. So when we look at that, now we look at a plant specifically, and we find out that my money tree, we call him Maximilian, by the way, that's his name. I'm just saying, name your money tree. And if Maximilian starts to kind of wither a little bit, if we were to add more water, trim it, water it, we could revive it. We can revive it, right? But if we wait too long, it's too late. It gets down to the roots. So if we nurture our people, which means we got to catch it in time. And in this case, we catch this employee in time. We can rescue that employee. We can rescue that plant from potentially losing it. And so it's never too late to begin nurturing your people. That's number 1. Number 2, time. Don't tell me, don't buy into the myth that you don't have enough time. Just do it. Make the time, invest in your people, take the time to learn what it is that makes them tick, learn what their relationship is, build it, and nurture those people.
Well, thanks for sharing that. For those who listened in, I really hope you got some value out of this. We tried to tell a story that is plausible based on real data. We didn't try. We did tell a story based on real data. Hopefully you can see how that could exist in your organization by using a graph like this and taking some of the principles that Sherri and Lou bring to the table. You can fundamentally transform how effective you are as a leader and how effective your people are in the course of a conversation. So I'd love to hear from you. What was this useful or not? And again, 1 to 10. 1 is it was not useful. 10, it was very useful to you. I'd love to see in the comments what you thought. So just type in useful and the number behind it, 1 to 10. So thank you for listening in. But Sherri and Lou, as always find these conversations go somewhere that I haven't necessarily gone before and expands my perspective on the world. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks, Vinay.
Thanks, Vinay.
All right. See you soon.